This week, South Africa has been marking Science Week under the auspices of the Department of Science and Technology. And we've been hearing this week from different people in the science fields. And today we're joined by the CEO of the Nuclear Industry Association of South Africa, NIASA, Mr. Knox Msebenzi. Thanks so much indeed for joining us. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
All right. So, you know, when we hear nuclear, we all think about what we see on TV and its nuclear plants and so on and so forth. But there's so much more to the nuclear field. Perhaps maybe we can start by a definition of what nuclear science is all about.
Nuclear science is very broad. As you rightly said, we tend to think about bombs.
Yeah.
We tend to think about power generation and the controversy or the debate that has been going on in the country. But there is more to nuclear than that. There's a lot more applications. I think the best way to define what nuclear science is about is to talk about the possible applications from various types of industries. That we can talk about that.
All right. Well, let's start by looking at those various applications and solutions to many of the work and life questions. What are those applications?
In everyday life, nuclear is around us. There is radiation in the environment, natural radiation. But I think in terms of applications of the radiation is in food, it is in medicine, it is in industry. Unfortunately, we have not even begun, or we have begun to exploit some of these opportunities.
Agriculture is another one, isn't it?
Agriculture, yes, that's another one. There's a whole range of applications of nuclear technology that we are not exploiting fully, that we could actually exploit quite a bit.
All right. So I guess what it means then is that there's different types of careers that people could follow. So give us just a sample of some of those, because we don't know what we don't know, especially as young people. What sort of careers are out there waiting for people?
Just to give an example in terms of radiation protection, for example. When we mine gold, nature has it that uranium ore coexists with gold ore.
Right.
The workers underground need to be protected against the radiation.
Right.
So you have got lots of radiation protection workers that monitor every worker to make sure that they are not exposed to harmful radiation. Just to give an example.
All right. But you've worked in the nuclear energy field. What sort of occupations are there?
Well, radiation protection that I've spoken about, nuclear engineers, nuclear physicist designers. In fact, the talk about nuclear engineer or nuclear scientist is very, very narrow. Many professions get to be nuclearized. You can imagine a mechanical engineer who design mechanical equipment that works in a nuclear power plant. A civil engineer will design structures that are suitable for a nuclear power plant. A nuclear physicist may be applied in terms of the various studies, in terms of what isotopes to produce for medical purposes. So there's a whole range of careers in nuclear.
So you've mentioned medicine. What typically would be there? I mean, I often go into the X-ray area, and I guess that's a lot to do with, again, nuclear powered or nuclear medicine.
That's the more common application of nuclear technology. But the forefront of technology in terms of radiation therapy, diagnostics of all types of ailments related to cancers and the treatment thereof. Certain isotopes that are produced at Spelindaba, west of Pretoria, are shipped throughout the world every day to countries. These isotopes can be used to target malignant tissue, cancerous tissue in the human body to destroy it. So nuclear medicine is a profound medicine.
So in many ways, you know, we have this natural fear of nuclear, but actually it's around us, we're using it all the time, and it's not something to be feared.
No, it is definitely not. If we were to be afraid or to fear nuclear, then perhaps we should go to another planet where there is no sun, because the sun is a nuclear reactor, and we welcome it, and we even put solar panels to capture power from the nuclear reactor called the sun.
I know that in National Science Week this week, you've been working with, I think, the CSIR
Yes.
and receiving students. What sort of questions are they raising when they came to your stand, for example?
It's a whole range of questions.
Yeah.
Some students will say, is nuclear waste toxic?
Yeah.
The confusion between toxicity and radiation, you have to explain that. And also some of them are just asking what jobs are available in the nuclear industry. And I think the main thing was to say the fear of whether nuclear is harmful or not to the environment.
And I suppose for the industry, it's important to get a pipeline. And this is about educating children and students at school to get into sciences so that they can use that as a stepping stone perhaps into university studies.
The thing about pipelines is that usually you need to put a carrot at the end of the pipeline in order to get people to get into that pipeline. If there is nothing at the end of it, a student will say, I do nuclear science, I become a nuclear physicist, and then what do I do when I leave university? Is the only career to lecture? Is there any industrial applications? So the important thing is we need to develop those applications of nuclear technology so that our young people can see and then be stimulated into doing this. We have seen this in the telecommunications industry.
Right.
When we introduced things like the cellular phones and whatever, a whole lot of young people came about, and the pipe just became open because they could see the benefits. So what we need to do is to put these opportunities in place so that young people can aspire to become those to do those
Where
careers.
is South Africa on that nuclear application curve? Because we've got Coburg, and that's kind of very few countries in the world have got the kind of science that we have here. How far are we in comparison to developed nations? How well are we doing across the continent?
We are one of the founding members of the International Atomic Energy Agency. So we are well ahead of many countries. I think we started our nuclear program in this country before if the Chinese even thought about, before they could even spell nuclear. So that gives you an idea of where we started. So I think the issue is to maintain the momentum and not to be bogged down with this political debates about which technology is best, which toy is better than the other toy. I think that is what that is dragging us in this country. I think we just need to push forward and get on with it.
Okay, so we look at Coburg, and we haven't built one since. Is it something that we should consider in terms of developing a nuclear industry so that these jobs and this pipeline of young scientists can come through?
We definitely should be looking at that. But we need to be careful when we embark on a project like that. I think there are some lessons to be learned from Kusile and Medupe in terms of having gone for many years without building any power plant, new coal power plants, and we started building. And we have learned some mistakes. We need to then take those learnings and see, we haven't done a project like this for many years. What do we need to do? And I think the reasonable thing to do is to perhaps partner with a vendor that is currently building power plants so that we pick up on that momentum. Right. We live in a global village. We don't want to start things from scratch as if we are not part of the international community.
All right, and then perhaps a final word. Students watching this now, just a very quick word in terms of looking forward into some kind of career and what should they be studying to get towards the nuclear industry?
You will never go wrong by studying science subjects.
Right.
If there's a stream of or cluster of subjects that stimulates the mind most, it is those. Even if we, for argument's sake, we did not have a nuclear program running in the country, a nuclear scientist is a clever person. That person can be applied to solve problems, even basic problems. So basically what I'm saying is, even without the carrot at the end of the pipeline, nuclear science and sciences in general are a thing to do, and we need to excel. You have got countries that are basically incentivizing their children to learn science, and they're doing very well. Yeah. We need to exploit that.
All right, Mr. Msebenzi, thanks so much indeed for joining us on the program.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.